Are you a movie buff? Do you love dissecting and analyzing your favorite films? Look no further than the Projection Booth podcast. Join host Mike White and a bevy of guest experts as they explore the history, themes, and legacy of cult classics, obscure gems, and mainstream hits. Join us every week for a unique and engaging look at your favorite movies. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and tune in to the Projection Booth podcast, available on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Chronicles from the Crypt.
I'm Casualty Chris.
And this is Father Malone.
And we are the hosts of Chronicles from the Crypt, a twice-a-month look at the cult horror anthology series, Tales from the Crypt, that originally aired on HBO from 1989 to 1996. And if it's the month of August, technically we do this 3 times in 1 month, so congratulations, you're getting a triple dose of Chronicles from the Crypt.
Oh my God. Now, in each of these podcasts, we do 2 episodes of Tales from the Crypt, and along the way, we've been doing some sort of tangentially related tales ephemera during our bonus episodes, which, guess what? You're listening to one of those right now. We are
trapped inside with us!
Yes, you are. This is as tangentially related as you can get. Now, in previous bonus episodes, we did a Tales from the Crypt movie from 1972 from Amicus Productions. But then our second bonus episode was about Vault of Horror from Amicus Productions. This is the final film from Amicus Productions from around 1980, although I think in America it was released in 1981. What are we talking about, Chris?
We are talking about El Club de los Monstruos, otherwise known as the Monster Club.
I will take you to a place where my friends foregather. There you will find stories of such blood-curdling terror it will make your toes curl and your hair reach up towards the sky.
He likes to take you by surprise. He likes to leave a very special calling card.
It was the best blood I have ever tasted.
He's giving you a very special invitation. 3 stories to shock you, chill you, thrill you, and make you laugh.
There's a face at my window as the darkness closes in.
Everybody knows about garlic and stakes through the heart.
Yes, we all have our cross to bear.
I'm just a sucker for your love. I'm just a sucker for your love. I'm just a sucker for...
You are one of his kind now. You have to be staked by your own men. You made her all the same. Don't want to know your name. Just come back again and pay the tribute. So let the show begin. I'll show you everything. Pull out the safety pin.
Songs by B.A. Robertson.
Don't you look down on me.
Night.
With the strange twisted.
The Pretty Things. The Viewers.
Tell me I'm not going to let you go until you do.
We must have our food.
But remember, he likes to take you by surprise. been invited to the Monster Club. Come at your peril.
Welcome to the Monster Club.
Welcome to the Monster Club.
So, couple things. Yes. Yes, this is tangentially Tales related because it is pretty much an Amicus film without being an Amicus film. It is Milton Subotsky's final film, who worked on a lot of the Amicus productions. He worked with Amicus all the time. So that's why we picked this. This film also, by we, I mean Father Malone, you're the one who picked it, not me, because I...
You're goddamn right I did, and I'd do it again, too!
I'm not even going to pretend to have seen this film before, because I haven't. You may not have seen it either, but this is our in-between season 3 and 4. If you're wondering why we haven't done Demon Knight or Bordello of Blood yet, that is because we are going to do those next, because technically they hadn't even come out yet.
Yeah, man. Just slow your roll.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to put them closer to when they came out, and also, let's be honest, as big of a fan of Tales from the Crypt as we all are, you the listener included, us the podcasters as well, nobody likes Bordello of Blood. It's
real bad.
It's real bad. Dennis Miller is... Well, he's Dennis Miller in that movie, and we'll get to it when we talk about it, probably in 2 bonus episodes. So we had to fill this with something that would not be the children's game show.
Nope.
Or Creep Show, because if we talked about Creep Show, it's kind of its own thing.
And I would be talking about it for like 17 hours.
And also, let's be honest here, what can we say about Creep Show that hasn't already been said?
Well, I could say a lot, but... Again, too much.
And you've never seen
it's
Creep
fucking,
Show,
it's fucking awesome.
I fucking have, Father Malone.
You've never seen Creep Show? That's interesting.
No, that's what I'm saying the name of your video is.
Yes, I know. Let me direct you to a YouTube channel. That is my highest rated episode, by the way.
I believe it, because it's a good fucking movie, and your video series on YouTube is great, and boy, that's just shameless shilling, just...
Yes.
Shill
away. Oh, I feel so good knowing that's such a good episode. Anyway, go ahead.
But
let's talk Monster Club, brother.
So, Monster Club came out, like you said, in 1980/1981. It is directed by Roy Ward Baker. It is produced by Milton Subotsky, who, like we said, worked on a lot of Amicus films. Amicus was known for a lot of these horror anthology series. Last 2 horror anthology films we watched were both Amicus productions. It is Roy Ward Baker's final film that he directed. It stars a little guy you may have heard of. His name is Vincent Price. You may have also heard of a little guy named Donald Pleasance, maybe John Carradine. I know you've heard of, if you're a fan of this show or a fan of British horror, you have heard of Patrick McGee, because I think this is, the 2nd time he's shown up now in a bonus episode.
Indeed.
Because he played George Carter in the Tales from the Crypt movie. And this film is broken into 3 stories. However, before we talk about the stories, which are the Shadmock, the vampires, and the ghouls, can we talk about how this film is essentially just a glorified concert with some stories interspersed in between the concert pieces?
Yes.
It's kind of weird.
Yes.
Because it takes away from the story part of the movie.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't take anything away. It only adds to it. Listen.
Rephrase it. It doesn't take anything away. It almost makes me wish I was just watching that for an hour and a half.
Yeah, kind of. Look, every time we're in the Monster Club, I feel very happy.
Which does then, in a way, take away from the film, because it makes me care less about the 2 not great stories.
2 not great? No, they're all great. Okay, that's not true. But
they are not, and you cannot begin to lie to convince me that that's the case.
I will not lie to you, Chris, not ever, except all 3 stories are great. That is a lie. Listen, only one of the stories is fucking spectacular. The others are okay, but let's kind of get into the meat of it here. The story is the wraparound segment, as any anthology film worth its salt will have, is about a vampire who feeds upon what he does not realize is his favorite author in an alleyway in London. That is played by John Carradine, the head of the Carradine clan. He's playing a character named R. Chetwynd-Hayes, who is an actual human being, an actual author of horror novels, including one called The Monster Club. So, in payment for allowing him to drink his blood, Vincent Price's vampire character introduces him to a little-known a venue in London known as the Monster Club, where all monsters gather to party and feel free and amongst themselves. And while there, he tells R. Chetwynd-Hayes some true stories about some little-known monsters, and those are the 3 stories that we get.
And let us not forget that this is a pretty meta setup for a film.
It really is. I mean, Chetwynd-Hayes was still alive at the time. This isn't like,
Author is being played by someone else, but it is an adaptation of his source material.
Yeah, man. Like, take that, Charlie Kaufman. Like, this is a bit unusual. So there is a book out there called Monster Club. I think only really one of the stories from the book is featured here. I think the other 2 are fabrications, although they're kind of based on some of the mythology that Chetwynd-Hayes came up with. Chetwynd-Hayes is a very dry British author. I think it would have actually been a little difficult to adapt his level of humor for the film. It's one of those things where you read somebody's stuff and you think, oh, this would be a good movie, but it actually wouldn't be. It's all based on their language. So, like, his plots aren't that necessarily that fantastic. It's that he tells the story in an interesting way. So that's a little bit based on the books, but really based on the guy and based on the sort of general feeling of his work. So they kind of spin off in their own directions here with these stories. So, not only does Vincent Price's character, I think his name is Erasmus, maybe.
Erasmus, that is correct. Erasmus.
Wow.
Excuse me, Aramis.
Aramis. Points for me, points deducted. They're sitting at a table, and at the table there is a genealogical tree that shows you what happens when one kind of monster mates with another, what their offspring would become, and we're effectively learning, as I said, some of the lesser-known monsters, starting with the Shadmock.
So the Shadmock is the first story in the anthology film. That is the Monster Club. And it stars Barbara Kellerman as a financially struggling woman who is persuaded by her turd boyfriend, played by Simon Ward,
He's a prick.
He's a real asshole. To go and steal from Raven, who is a man who lives on a house on a hill, and that's kind of just a general term, if you know what I mean. But he is the titular Shadmock who whistles, and when he whistles, he burns you to death if you hear his whistle.
Yeah. Don't make a Shadmock whistle. Don't make anyone whistle. Whistling in general sucks, but if a Shadmock does it, it's particularly bad.
So, this story is real dumb.
No, it's good. It's fun. It's fun. It's kind of romantic, right? It's sad.
Prefaced by Vincent Price trying to explain all the monsters, which I had to rewatch like 4 times to fully follow what's going on.
Well,
because
Chris, that means you're dumb. That's all.
Oh, fuck off. But I mean, that whole scene is intentionally confusing because it's like he's saying all these names of these things, and it's like, just
if a Shaddy and a Maddie got together, they would have a humgoo.
Yeah.
But if a humgoo mates with any of the higher monsters, they would produce a mock.
Like, look, I love Vincent Price as much as the next horror fan, and he's great in this movie, but that scene, I was like, I get it. You're just making Vincent Price say fucking dumb, goofy things. Like, congratulations. This story is not great because I felt like it's
a little predictable.
Yeah, it's very predictable. You see where it's going from a mile away.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where the story is going. It's a labyrinth. It's labyrinthine.
As soon as you see that he can whistle and kill things, you're like, okay, he's gonna kill her. Like, the end.
Oh, what? You figured it out? God damn it.
Fuck you. You're such an ass. But that being said, it's better than some of the other anthology stories we've seen in the other films that we've watched for these bonuses.
That is true. Both Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror had some dogs. This is a little bit better than some of those. It's not the best story here. I don't think it's necessarily just like a dog in and of its own right. I do think it's a little unusual in that so you have this couple and they're basically con men, and the Simon West character has sent his girlfriend / wife maybe to this rich guy's house where he's trying to hire somebody to catalog his collection. And when she gets there, she realizes that the man who's hiring her is so hideous that she does not even want to be in his presence. But her boyfriend keeps persuading her to go back because eventually she'll get her hands on his fortune. Now, the problem for me with this story is not necessarily predictability. It's that this guy is just kind of, he's not attractive necessarily, but he's not the most hideous thing I've ever seen. He's just kind of ugly, a little bit ugly. And the way it's described, the way he's described and the way she describes him, he might seem like he's fucking like the Elephant Man, but he's not. He's just a guy with a bad part in his hair and, maybe needs a little bit of sun.
A little bit of white makeup on his face.
Yeah, it's not that hideous, and they really should have hideoused him up a bit. Is that a word? It is now.
Which is funny because all the monsters in this movie are essentially just people.
Yeah, and they're trying to convince us that...
Which comes back to play into the end of the film.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that circularity. Good for you, Monster Club.
That's like the whole idea is that there's no, there's no mummies, there's... And look, let's be honest here. If the interstitial scenes are anything to show the effects that the film could have had, kind of glad we didn't get any. Because, wow.
Hey.
No.
You just watch yourself.
A man in a Wolfman mask with fur glued to his face?
It's so good, man.
It is 1970s by way of 1981.
Now, when we were talking about doing this episode in a previous episode where we mentioned that we were doing it, I did say, and I'll stand by this, and I'm not apologizing for this film in any way. If you had told me this movie came out in 1972, I'd be like, absolutely it did. The fact that it came out in 1980, you look back at it, you look at this movie, and you're like, really? This is 1980? What were they thinking? Yeah, the denizens of the Monster Club itself are basically just people in masks.
Not basically, they are. They are.
No. Not all of them. Don't paint it in such a broad brush. Some of those girls have fangs.
With the springy eyes. With the spring-loaded eyes at one point.
Oh, the spring-loaded eyes? That's fantastic. That's some high-quality makeup effects. Okay, look. The fact is, 1 year later, Rick Baker would make a man turn into a werewolf on screen. And the fact that we're here in this particular movie is shocking. But you know what? They don't have money. They don't have universal money. This is Amicus, brother. You got to go with it. You got to suspend some disbelief.
This is not Amicus.
Look, Chris, okay.
It's not, and that's the thing. That might actually be the thing, is it's not Amicus, so they didn't have the Amicus money.
Okay, fine. It's not Amicus, but it's basically Amicus. Okay.
But the effects in the Amicus
let's put everything aside for just 1 second. Please just... No. Answer me one question. Would you hang out at that Monster Club, even with those masks?
There's a woman stripping down to her skeleton at one point.
You would go to the Monster Club, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm, hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, you would. Me too. Let's go right now. Actually, you've been to the Monster Club, haven't you?
Have I?
Isn't there one in Nebraska?
Oh, dear God. Oh, shit. You're right. You're right.
You've been to the Monster Club.
Oh, man. Can I have a moment to talk about that nightmare?
Here's what I've read all the Yelp reviews. Was it like really cool to look around, but then the service was fucking horrible?
Did you actually read the Yelp reviews?
Yeah, I read all the Yelp reviews.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh my God.
I was like, I have been obsessed with the idea of the Monster Club since I've been like 8 years old. So then when you sent me something saying like, hey, there's a Monster Club here. Like, this is it. I was like, holy shit. Somebody opened the motherfucking Monster Club. Let me read about it. And every review was like, I mean, look, I don't know what it's like now.
Including one from yours truly. Because I wrote one of the goddamn reviews. My review was, we went on the second day it was open.
Okay, see, let me stop you. It seems that all the reviews are based on the first, 2 or 3 days of business. So clearly they hadn't gotten their shit together yet. I don't want this to be a smear campaign on the burgeoning business that is the Monster Club, because maybe they worked it out since then, man.
Here's the issue with the Monster Club.
Did they give you your order correctly?
Hold on a second. So the issue with the Monster Club is that it is a idea created by I guess some folks who owned a kind of like rock clothing store called Drastic Plastic Vinyl was the name of the record store. And they had Drastic Plastic, and then they had Drastic Plastic Underground, which was a underground store that they sold vinyl out of. They closed both of those stores to open the Monster Club.
That's a noble ambition.
Yeah, it's a middle of the road themed restaurant at best.
Listen, if I come visit you,
don't know if I'll ever go back.
Monster Club.
You should.
I might, but at the same time, it's also insane.
I'm pulling for you, Monster Club.
If I come visit you,
well,
going to the fucking Monster Club.
If it's still open.
It will be. I'm pulling for you, Monster Club.
At least one of us is. But
come on, man.
I mean, look. Here's the thing. I, like anyone else, love a good themed restaurant.
I wanted to go to that.
I mean, do you remember the Jekyll and Hyde Club? That was a thing. That was pretty cool.
I wanted to go to that.
They had one in Dallas. That was cool, but like the problem is, if you're gonna do a themed restaurant, you gotta either fully commit to it or don't do it at all.
And the Monster Club people are not fully committed to the monstrous nature of
was
their club.
Was the song
I believe so.
Welcome to the Monster Club from the movie Monster Club
Welcome to the Monster Club from the movie Monster Club playing at any point while you were in there?
I guarantee you the people who own the restaurant have never even heard of this movie.
That's a problem.
Would you agree with me that they've probably never heard of this movie?
I've not been. I'm not going to cast aspersions. I was absolutely 100% hoping that they had called themselves the Monster Club based on this film and their own love of it, and that the soundtrack would be exclusively,
I hate to break,
including B.A. Robertson's masterpiece, I'm Just a Sucker for Your Love. That sounds like I'm being ironic. I'm not. That's a great fucking song. Anyway, continue.
So I guess we're talking about the in-between parts of the movie now.
We are 100% on the interstitial portions of the movie right now.
Which are great.
They're great, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. The one where the woman strips out of her skeleton is fantastic.
She's a stripper.
Because I was like...
performing to a song called...
Stripper. I thought that they were good. I thought they were going to have nudity in the movie. And I was like, oh shit, is that where this movie's going? And then it does a... Like, I guess that's probably stop motion or just straight up animation.
Yeah, it was animation.
Yeah, and it's, it works pretty well. I mean, you can barely see the strings.
It's a stripper who takes off her skin and turns into a skeleton. What more could you want? Why is that not actually happening at the current Monster Club in Nebraska? I don't know, but it should be.
Because they spent all their money on buying a giant Pennywise the Clown to stand in the restaurant.
Okay. They should not be doing that. They should be buying monsters.
Like I said, there's like cool stuff, and then there's like cool stuff in the restaurant, like custom things of like the creature from the Black Lagoon coming out of like a window that's up on the wall, like a gothic looking window, and he's like coming out of it. And then there's just like a Pennywise you can buy from Spirit Halloween standing in a corner. I'm just like, why? Like, there's cool stuff, but don't just get that shit out of here. Get it out of here.
Are we talking about the latest Pennywise or the?
Yes.
Okay. So not Tim Curry.
Yes. So, but can we talk about the good story from this film?
Are we talking about the second film? Are we talking about the vampire?
The vampires.
Oh, you like the vampire?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You didn't like it?
I like it okay. I think it's a good story. I think it's well told. I think the ending is a little bit goofy.
Well, the ending is completely goofy.
Okay.
The ending is, for me, it feels the most Tales from the Crypt of all the endings.
Yeah, in the comedy with a K category.
Yeah, like...
That's also category with a K.
Yeah, hilarious. Like, and so in the second one, you have Donald Pleasance playing a like Van Helsing character who is looking for a vampire that lives in a British town, and he follows the vampire's son, who's half vampire, half human, back down to the house, and he stakes the vampire. Vampire bites him, and then his own people have to kill him, but then it turns out that the vampire actually didn't die, and he was wearing a stake-proof vest with tomato ketchup.
Tomato ketchup!
And, like, it's great. Like, it's funny. It has that little bit of wit to it, and I liked it the most out of the three stories because it felt the most similar to the other two Amicus films that we've seen.
Sure. I'll agree with that.
And Donald Pleasance also has one of the most bizarre lines I've ever heard in a movie. I'm not a stranger, I'm a clergyman. Boy, that has not aged well.
Donald Pleasance.
But he's great in this movie.
Yeah, man, he's good.
He's not given much to do, and he's not in very much of it. And that's fine, because if he had been in too much of the film, I think it would have been a distraction.
Yeah.
Because he's such a force. He's such a force to be reckoned with.
It's my least favorite story.
It's true. I don't know. There's something about the way that they're handling sort of vampirism. It just felt maybe I don't know. I want to say I saw this movie after I've seen so many other sort of dissections of vampirism. But the fact is, I hadn't. I saw it when I was 8 years old. So right after it came out, I don't think the movie actually got a theatrical release here in America. I know it got released in England, and I think here in America it went straight to TV. I've mentioned a show I used to watch back in Boston growing up called Creature Double Feature, where they showed this movie on a fucking loop, man. So I saw this at least once, if not twice a year. And that particular story just felt a little more tongue-in-cheek than I was willing to give it. I thought the interstitial stuff was enough tongue-in-cheek with the sort of, masked monsters, dancing around to quasi-new wave music, that I was hoping that the stories themselves were going to be a little more hardcore. I thought the first one was. I think the last one is. And the middle one, I guess they wanted a bit of levity in between those two, particularly before the last story. So I get it, but it's never been my favorite story. When that one is playing, I'm just waiting for the next song to start, which I guess is it the stripper after that?
It is the stripper.
It is the stripper because the song before it is, as I mentioned, B.A. Robertson doing "I'm Just a Sucker for Your Love," which look, man, I don't know how you feel about that song. I love that fucking song. I really do. I like that song a whole lot. It is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's also a lot of fun. And I like the fact that when you're watching the sequence, clearly they filmed him with two cameras simultaneously, and he's staring into one camera, and when he's doing that, they never cut to that camera. They're only showing the other one. So it's this weird thing where he seems to be staring at somebody in the audience the entire time. So, I like that song. I like that guy, actually, B.A. Robertson. I guess he's sort of a British, not a standard necessarily. I don't think that everyone would know who he is, but, he was a pop star in England from the late 70s into the early 80s. He's got another song called Cleopatra, which I think is really fun as well. Anyway, I love that song. I love that whole interstitial before this story. The next story is actually my favorite.
So the other thing I wanted to mention about the interstitials is because they're so different from what we've been expecting with the interstitials on all these other anthologies. I mean, all the other ones is just, why am I here? They're so...
I've had a dream. Let me tell you about my dream.
Those are so bland compared to this. I almost wish that there was more of just everything going on in the club and none of the stories.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I think that's I would have liked to have seen a full, hour and a half movie about how the Monster Club is run and its denizens.
Which, again, that's just me being I loved everything else so much more than even the stories, which I didn't dislike. I didn't say I'm disliking it. I'm just saying all these other things were way more fun and kind of hip and with the time. The stories aren't with the times, but then the Monster Club has pop punk rock, punk rock. And weird, weirdly in tune with the time that it came out with.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of
disconnect.
All the wraparound stuff.
Yeah, it is a disconnect because the stories feel kind of old fashioned.
The stories feel very British. Yes. And then everything in the and then in the club, it's British, but it's new wave, very forward thinking.
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s Britain, as opposed to 1958 Britain, which is how the stories sort of come off.
Yeah, which is the why I like the interstitials so much. So, but let's talk about the final story. The Ghouls.
Yes. The Ghouls.
G-H-O-U-L-S. The Ghouls. Which I will tell you this much, I did not like this story that much, but the ghouls are handled better than in that episode from the last season with, Tom Hanks' wife.
Rita Wilson and Steven Weber.
Yeah. Where it's G-H-O-U-L-S, ghouls, oh my, let's pat ourselves on the back. This is no, they're just ghouls. Just
Yeah, man. There's something to me kind of frightening. And look, I've traveled around this country a lot. I'm sure you have too. Now, we're not talking about our country right now because this movie takes place in England. But there are times when you're on a road trip and you end up in some fucking podunk town in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, they could easily murder me here, and no one would ever know. And this sort of plays on that, where the last story is about a horror filmmaker who's looking to find a location that is remote and weird and has never been seen on film before. So he goes out to do it himself because he's such a prick that he doesn't trust his location manager to find him one. So he goes out into the sticks in England, ends up driving through some foggy area and into this town that has clearly not been touched by modern society because it's all completely peopled by ghouls. And ghouls, if you don't know, ghouls, they eat the dead. That's what they do. They dig up corpses and then they feast on the flesh. So that's what this story is. What I liked in this particular story is that what I actually found frightening was this notion that with the female character, the only human in the town, sort of explaining to the guy about boxes. She's like, oh, everything that we need, we find in the boxes. All the clothing we wear, all the food that we eat, all come out of boxes. And he's like, where are the boxes from? She's like, oh, there. And she sort of points out at the graveyard. That to me was freaky and gross. So I liked that, and I thought that was really weird. This is also the story that Patrick McGee is in, who we mentioned earlier, who was also in the Tales from the Crypt adaptation, who is kind of the lead ghoul within the town. He is appropriately creepy, as always. So, look, it's a very slight tale. And I'm not sure why ghouls have a reaction to crosses the way they do, because they're not vampires. But I like them. I also liked, even though it's not really necessarily animated, I liked the drawing telling the story of how they sort of came to the town and took it over. Like, I thought that was sort of weird and wonderful.
That was the best part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes you feel like, well, why didn't they just tell us that story? But I do like the one we got.
I didn't think it was bad, but I felt like the ending was going to be pretty obvious. Also, the fact that one of the characters in the segment gets killed by just a rock to the back.
Well, it breaks her back, man.
Oh, come on. Don't even defend this. Don't defend this claptrappery. It's a little goofy.
A little bit goofy, yeah. Can I ask, the version that you saw, when they're being chased at the end, was it like full daylight?
Yes.
It was, right? Okay, now, I own the DVD of this movie, and it's also full daylight in that scene. However, growing up, like, whatever transfer they had originally made, they sort of tinted that into this weird blue haze. Like, before they the whole town is sort of bounded by a mist or a fog. Like, once you go through that, you enter this sort of eternal nighttime that is their village, which I really liked. And so now watching it again on the DVD with the transfer, like, I'm wondering, like, did they just lighten it because they thought that's how it should have looked? Or was the original a mistake or something or other? Because, as a kid, it's much more scarier that, like, once they cross that threshold, that that you're in this nightmare world. Whereas here it's like, well, they're just, like, running through a daylit field.
Which is not at all scary.
No, like, not at all. They're just, like, on the run, like, but it's clearly daylight. Like, I don't know. There's something to be said for atmosphere, which they completely jettisoned when they re-transferred the film.
But again, I mean, if we're talking about the quality of this final segment, it's not bad.
It's okay.
It's just kind of boring. Like, you know that he's not going to get away. That should be right. I mean, this should be pretty obvious.
Yeah. I mean, we know where it's going.
Yeah.
The Masters. The Masters are coming, Chris.
Yeah, and the ghoul policemen with their terrible fake teeth.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, look, it's not great. It scared the shit out of me as a kid, but then I was...
Yeah. But as an adult, it's just not great.
Right. I mean, in retrospect, I don't know. I think the Shadbox story at the beginning is probably the most affecting to me. Like, I like the vampire story plenty, and I have good, fond memories of what the ghoul story was meant to be. But ultimately, I think I'm with you in that the more time spent in the Monster Club amongst the monsters is the better. Like, I enjoy being in that environment with those characters, as goofy or as Woolworth masked as they are.
And that's the thing about the Monster Club. If we're talking about the Monster Club, the Monster Club parts of the film deliver 100%. Everything else is kind of just okay. Middling to okay.
Not spectacular.
Yeah. But the Monster Club parts are fun. And, you have Vincent Price, and you could have had Christopher Lee, because he was originally the one that they tried to get for the Chetwynd-Hayes role, which would have been pretty great. Peter Cushing turned down a role in the film as well.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to go for the sort of rogues gallery of heavy-hitting horror icons. They ended up with a couple of really good ones, obviously, with John Carradine, Vincent Price, and Donald Pleasance. But, if those two other guys had been in the mix, holy shit.
We'd still be talking about this movie. This wouldn't be, a lost to time film. So, but yeah, apparently Christopher Lee's agent said the name of the film is The Monster Club, and he was like, nope. So, that's fun.
That's perfectly in keeping with who Christopher Lee was.
Exactly. Right? Well, or is perceived to be.
Well, I mean, this is a guy who agreed to be in other Dracula movies as long as he had no dialogue.
Right. Chetwynd-Hayes apparently didn't like that John Carradine played him as well, so.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's unusual to see somebody else sort of performing as
too old to play.
Oh, well, he needed to get over that.
Yeah.
I would have been more upset that they didn't, adapt my stories more faithfully, but...
Right, the little things. Too old, not the story adaptations are bad.
They made me look like an old man.
And then there's the little kicker at the end where Vincent Price is like, well, human beings do the most damage, and they're the most despicable monsters of all, so we need a human to be part of the Monster Club. And I thought that was...
He's not wrong.
I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
But
a human, what can they do?
Everything.
Nuclear bombs?
They've been killing each other for centuries. They've perfected it. We're amateurs compared to them. Yeah, good point.
But again, the ultimate thing about the film is that the Monster Club parts are fun, but everything else is kind of what you've already seen before with the Amicus films, but not done as well.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I do... this is one of those movies I pop on every once in a while. I always enjoy I don't necessarily know that it's one of these movies that you necessarily sit down and watch. I will always put it on, and I find myself watching the interstitial wraparound stuff more than I do the tales themselves. For me, it's like the tales are just kind of there in the background, and I can be doing whatever else in the room, but I find myself watching the performances and watching the monsters themselves interacting. That is always fascinating to me.
On the next episode of Chronicles from the Crypt, we're going to be talking about Season 4 of the show. We're halfway done with our podcast, at least on Tales from the Crypt.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're going to be talking about Episode 1 and 2 of Season 4, None But the Lonely Heart, which is directed by everyone's favorite American nice man, Tom Hanks. He's also in the episode, in a role that doesn't take away from the entire episode, like Michael J. Fox in that one episode.
Yeah, it was a little distracting.
Yeah, and This'll Kill Ya, which has Cleavon Little in it, and Cleavon Little's great. Because I believe his great-grandmother was a Dutch.
True.
And that was also his last role, so...
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it sure was. It sure was.
Oh, yeah, I guess it was.
Yep, he passed away in 1992, and that came out in 1992. So, until then, where can people find you, Father Malone?
You can find me at the Monster Club. No, you can find me over on YouTube on my channel, Odd5 Films. You can check out my show you've never seen. Got a new show premiering in just a week or two called Unaired Pilots, which I'm very interested for you to all check out. You can also hear me over on a couple of podcasts. I guest on the Culture Cast, which is your podcast, Chris. Did you know that?
That's true. It is mine.
Yeah, and I also guest... Oh, no, I don't guest. I'm one of the fucking co-hosts. I'm one of the founding members of Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast about the 1985 reboot of the Twilight Zone television series. Check that out. Where can people find you, Chris?
They can find me on Twitter at Casualty_Chris. I do a little podcast, like you mentioned, the Culture Cast. I also do the Kolchak tapes, where I talk about Kolchak the Night Stalker, and a little podcast called The One Season Show, where I talk about shows that only lasted one season. Tales from the Crypt doesn't fit into that moniker, so that's why it's not on there. However, if you want to watch, or if you want to listen to us talk about shows that only lasted one season, oneseasonshow.com is where you would find that. Big thanks, as always, to our good friend, the Crypt Keeper himself, Mr. John Kassir, for the intro to Chronicles from the Crypt, and we'll catch you on the next episode.